Welcome back, everyone, to Kale's podcast. This is episode 5 now, and with me today I have Frazilus. She's a sophomore volleyball player at Bucknell University. Bree, how are we doing?
Hi guys, I'm doing great. Happy
That's
to be
good.
here.
How's the off season doing so far?
It's good. I mean, we just had our first spring tournament this yesterday, so this weekend. And it went really well for us. Our team's looking really good. So, I mean, that's exciting. Our spring season has been super competitive and really good. So I'm excited for the fall when we're back in season. For me personally, it's been more of a recovery season, unfortunately, because I broke my arm in October. So I just started playing again like last week, like 100% back. So that's been not ideal, but a process.
Yeah, I forgot you guys play like actual teams in the spring for like football wise. You just played each other the whole time.
Yeah.
Who do you guys end up playing?
We played Hofstra and Princeton. So
Did you win?
it's it's weird in the spring because we sometimes we'll play for time and we don't play like full like best 3 out of 5 sets. So
Mhm.
like we technically lost, but we also didn't play a full game.
And then you were able to play in those games, right?
Yeah, I was able to play.
That's good. So are your arms pretty much healed at this point?
Yes, the elbow is finally functioning again.
No more cyborg.
Yeah, no. No more of the giant brace or a cast or anything. Finally done.
That's good. Yeah, so obviously me and you have been friends, but I actually don't really know like much about you, like childhood wise. So that's what I usually like to ask first. So like what initially drew you to volleyball as a kid?
My family's always been a huge sports family. My mom played a lot of different sports throughout high school and things, and my dad played soccer in college until like his dad died. So until my grandfather passed away, then he stopped playing. But we've always actually been a soccer family. So my dad played soccer. My grandfather on my mom's side played soccer and played professionally, and my grandfather on my dad's side played professionally and then owned a professional soccer team out of Haiti.
Uh,
So yeah, and like my uncles played soccer. I have a younger brother who's a senior or a junior in high school right now, and he plays soccer. So I played a lot of different sports. I had the most fans, like all my family was at my games when I played soccer. And then I quit soccer because I hated the running. And I thought softball was actually going to be my sport. I thought I was going to play that in college. And then I was playing softball and volleyball. And then my freshman year of high school, I decided that I liked volleyball the most and that I wanted to pursue that. So I mean, volleyball just randomly just became something. I'm like the first volleyball player in the family, so that just randomly became something that I wanted to do.
so was volleyball like the last thing that you chose
Yeah, that
out
was
of
like
out of the three? Okay.
yeah. I mean, I ran track too, so I was like running track. I was playing softball, playing soccer, but then out of all of those, I was like, I actually like volleyball the most
Hmm.
randomly.
So like what said your grandfather had a team in Haiti?
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know much about it just because he passed away before I was born.
Uh,
So, and like my dad doesn't say much about it, but um yeah, I know that he had a professional soccer team out of and it was out of Haiti. So,
did you have like a favorite soccer team when you were growing up at all?
I just always personally just did what my dad did. So my dad's soccer team was Chelsea. And I have like a bunch of sweatshirts from that team. I don't really watch like them that much. I watch soccer like when my brother's playing it, and I love watching. I personally am not a huge fan of watching soccer on TV, but if you go to my house, that's the only thing that's playing on any TV. But I mean, I love watching it when my brother's playing or watching it in person.
Okay, yeah. And as you were like playing all these sports growing up, did you have any like role models or kind of like anybody that influenced you in a way? It doesn't have to be like an athlete, but just anybody in general.
I guess like a regular person that just always influenced me was always my parents, just because they were super hard workers and I just saw them like persevere through a lot of things in life, and it kind of they pushed me to just be like the best athlete possible and to just try to be like no matter what I did to try to be the best at it. And to kind of just have the mindset that, there's always going to be someone better than you, so you always have something to work towards. Um, but I guess in terms of an athlete standpoint, for volleyball, I've always been a huge fan of Logan Eggleston, which you probably don't know who that is, but she played for Texas, and she's no longer that she graduated out, but she's just always been like a huge impact on like volleyball in general. So I just was always a fan of watching her play and trying to learn from her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know who that was at first, but I know Texas is one of like the biggest or like one of the best volleyball teams in the country. So,
Yeah,
um, and then I know you're from North Carolina, right? But what
yeah.
part and like what high school did you go to?
I went to Cary Christian. So I always went to private school. I went to Cary Christian sent from like kindergarten up until my junior year. And then senior year, I switched to North Raleigh Christian Academy, helped them win their eighth state championship in a row for volleyball. And I grew up in Cary, so kind of near the Research Triangle, not too far from like NC State, Duke, and UNC. I
Hmm.
was rooting for NC State in the
I
tournament.
was too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sad loss, but it's okay.
yeah, but they did good, made
Yeah.
history, so it's okay.
Um, and then you said you went to the same, I didn't know they still do that, but like kindergarten through junior year, so all the kids go to the same school, or is it like sectioned off like by
Yeah,
grade? Oh wow. How many like
no,
students?
it was a really small school. It was a really small. We it was all in one building, so it was just like one big building, and each like the first floor on the left was for like kindergarten through second grade, on the right, third through fifth. And then like upstairs was like middle school, and high school was like the top left side of the building. And there was 60 kids in my grade. So it was a really small school, and all of us like grew up together from kindergarten all the way until like graduation.
And what made you change schools like your junior year?
It was a tough decision, and I think COVID honestly just made it easier, kind of just because obviously COVID happened our sophomore year, but junior year it was like all online, and I kind of was starting to focus more on volleyball, and I wanted to go somewhere where the competition was, it was just high level competition for volleyball, like
Hmm.
in terms of a high school. So I just chose to go to North Raleigh Christian Academy because I had some club teammates that played there. And uh, I knew that they were competing for their eighth state championship in a row. So, and they were like shorthanded. So they needed another like good player. So I told them I decided to go there.
And do you have like a specific moment or like memory about like your high school, career? Obviously, you guys won the state championship, but was there anything like specific that you remember like at all?
I think I want to say actually junior year before I switched to the new school my senior year. Um I went, obviously, like I said, I went to a small school, so we didn't really win like state championships a lot. And we had another really good player on our team. Her name's Logan Eggleston. She graduated out of Pitt, playing volleyball there. She played volleyball at Virginia Tech and then went to Pitt. But oh wait, did I her name's Logan Mosley. I don't remember what name I just said. But um
You said the Texas
oh,
one.
sorry, I meant Logan Mosley, not Logan Eggleston. Logan Mosley played with me for most of my high school career, and when she graduated, obviously we were like, well, our team's in a little bit of trouble. And then my junior year was probably just like the best that we'd ever played and the closest that we had come to winning state championship, and we made it to the finals. And I just remember, and it's honestly still replays in my head sometimes, but losing that game in the state championship my junior year probably had the like biggest impact on me, and it's more memorable than when I won the state championship my senior year, just because it was such a building block for me, and it just made like as painful as it was like in the moment and frustrating as it was, it just made me want to work harder, and to it just like drove me to compete even more. And I think that like I was already a really competitive person to begin with, but I think that just added like another level just because I immediately wanted to be back in the gym for the next time I got the chance to fight for a championship.
Yeah, I think it goes for any athlete. Like any loss always hurts more than like even winning or
Yeah.
like yeah, any loss just hurts more. So when you lose, you know you just know like you can beat that team or you can do better. So
Yeah.
and I don't know much like about the volleyball like recruiting process. And I know you like there's club teams, there's high school teams. Like how do coaches like scout for high school volleyball players?
Yeah. So for volleyball, you don't really get recruited out of high school. That's not very common. Everyone gets recruited out of their club volleyball teams. And then you have tournaments, like there's tournaments like every weekend, every other weekend, that are specifically for like you'll see more recruiters at qualifiers. So when you're trying to qualify for nationals, and then you'll see more recruiters at nationals, obviously, because that's just where the really big teams are, the really good teams. Like, nationals is like the top 50 teams in the country. So um basically how it kind of works is just like everyone else, after the summer of your sophomore year, your coaches are able to start reaching out to you and talking to you,
Yeah.
um and inviting you to camps and stuff like that. For me personally, and like other people that were in my class and the class above us, recruiting was really weird just because of COVID.
Yeah.
So, like a few days before we were about to like finally start being able to talk to coaches, everything shut down, and we didn't have any tournaments that season. So like we already were like kind of a year behind. And then when things finally started to open up again, tournaments were weird where it went from having around like 300 courts in a convention center where coaches are just like walking around, like scouting at different courts. It went to they would only have about 10 courts, and it would be like super spread out, and coaches weren't allowed to come to the events. They had to watch online, and they only had to were able to really watch your like highlight reels. And a lot of coaches didn't want to recruit that way. So coaches were starting to really just make offers based off of like girls that they had already seen and knew were good, which made it harder for people that were coming from smaller areas that were good and probably could have gone to a bigger school, but just didn't have the opportunity. So I committed to Bucknell. I mean, I committed kind of early, but not early, like early for like the COVID people, but it really wasn't that early.
Mhm.
But I had already started narrowing down my schools. I knew that I wanted to go somewhere that was high academic. Um, and I was planning visits already. We were gonna go to like Villanova, go see all the Ivy League schools, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I was gonna go see Lehigh. And randomly, like a week before our trip, Bucknell like reached out to me and said that they were interested. And I kind of just like did my research on them. I knew that it was a high academic school. And I was like, okay, like maybe this is somewhere I want to go. And honestly, like on my first phone call, Coach Tyler, the coach here, said that he wanted to offer me. And I was like, it's our first phone call. It's kind of early. And he was like, I want to give you an offer like in person. So like if you could come visit, like we know, what kind of player you are and that you would be a great addition to our program. So like if you come visit, like I would love to, extend an offer. So I visited Lehigh, I visited a couple schools around here, and then I went to Bucknell and I went to the like camp. And I think from the first day of camp, just like playing with the girls on the team and like getting to see the school, I just like knew immediately. And my parents said that they could kind of see it on my face and just off of the way that I was playing. I was just playing a lot better. I was more competitive. Like I just looked happier when I was competing at camp. And so then after like the first day, Coach Tyler like extended an offer, and then I like took some time to think about it, but in the back of my head, I knew that I was going to commit here. So, but I still wanted to like take some time and think about it. But that's kind of how my recruiting process went. I know it was different for like everyone,
Yeah.
and especially with like COVID and stuff like that, it was extremely different for every single person. But yeah, I know I knew that I wanted this checked all the boxes. I wanted to be somewhere high academic. I wanted to go somewhere where I could make a difference in the program, not somewhere where like the school was already like the best and I'm just like another really good player. Like I wanted to go somewhere where I could help build a program kind of from the bottom up. So
Yeah, and kind of like play. You don't have to like wait your turn, you can
yeah,
kind of go in and yeah. I feel like our class and the grade above us definitely had like the hardest time recruiting because I feel like that's where for football, at least for me, it was the same. You couldn't have coaches come in and visit your school or something. They had to go based off your film and things like that. And like me, I never had a chance to do a camp at Bucknell. I had to go solely off of a visit that I had and then just watching the team play. That's the only way I had. So obviously it
yeah,
didn't work out for me, but it looks like it's going well for you. So that's good.
yeah, yeah.
And now that you are at like the collegiate level, what's the biggest difference you think that is so far from the high school to college level?
I think it's probably just like playing against people that are older than you. I think especially like freshman year, um, back in club, you're competing against everyone's your age, like I'm competing against other 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, whatever. Then I come here and I'm 18 and I'm playing on the same team as like a 23-year-old. I was like, okay, like obviously, they're a little stronger than me. They've been doing this for a little longer, but I thought that made it more fun. I thought, I get to compete against older people. Like I get to be 18 years old and, beating, you know, people that are older than me, playing against girls that are older than me and that showing them how it's done, I guess. But I mean, um, I think that I don't know. I think that would just be like the biggest thing that I've like noticed, and that was the biggest like shift for me was just like still having to compete, even though these people have knew what they were doing and like had been doing this longer.
Mhm.
But in my head, it's the nothing's changed in terms of like the rules, nothing's changed in terms of, how to play volleyball. So, I just do what I do best and I just compete every day. And, you know, in my head, talent beats or hard work beats talent. So I just wanted to work hard and be the best I could.
Yeah. And you're again, not very big volleyball. You're outside hitter, right?
Yeah, I'm an outside hitter.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. And then are there like you've been an outside hitter your whole volleyball career, right? No?
No, no, sorry. I started out as a middle blocker, which is seems
Yeah.
weird. Middle blockers are supposed to be tall, and I
Hmm.
think we both know I'm not.
Yeah.
So middle blockers are usually like average about like 6'1", 6'2", like higher than that. But I'm 5'8", but I started as a middle blocker because I've been 5'8" since like fifth grade. Like I was always tall. So I just was really tall and they were like, oh my gosh, she's gonna be huge. So they made me a middle blocker. And then everyone was growing and I just wasn't. I just stayed 5'8". So it wasn't until my 16th year that I got a coach that was like, all right, it's time to change your position if you want to play in college. So I switched to an outside hitter. Um, I've gotten to play other positions, but they just weren't great fits for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I just loved outside because you get to do a little bit of everything as an outside. So
Yeah, like spike the ball in people's heads.
yeah.
Um, and then do you have like a favorite moment so far for college? So I know so obviously you just finished, you got his second season. How are the first two seasons actually been so far first before I ask the next one?
Yeah. Well, freshman year was great. We made history freshman year. I won freshman of the year for like the Patriot League conference.
Yeah.
So like out of all the freshmen. Um, and we finished, I'm trying to remember what we finished freshman year. I think we finished like sixth or fifth. But it was still, the highest that Bucknell had finished in years. And then sophomore year, we just wanted to beat that and go as far as possible. Obviously, this past year didn't go as planned because of injuries, because it wasn't just myself that got injured, but one of
Yeah.
our starting setters also got injured. And so we still did a great job and tied for second in the Patriot League. And ideally, we could have won the whole thing if we were fully staffed, but it's okay because junior year is going to be our year.
Yeah.
um, I guess my favorite like memory from both of these years would be, oh, the weekend we played Colgate and Army at Colgate and at Army. We beat both of them. So at the time they were both ranked 1 and 2, and I think we were ranked like fourth in the moment. And we beat Colgate in 5 sets, and it was a close game, and it was like a really great game. And it started out a little shaky, but then we started to like pick it up. We really got into it. And we kind of got rid of the mindset that like, oh, we're playing against the number one team in the conference. Like they're supposed to beat us. We kind of got rid of that mindset. Like anybody's beatable at any time. So then we beat Colgate, and then we went and beat Army, and that was, I would say, was my favorite memory from like freshman and sophomore year. It was a really close game. The first set, um, if volleyball is supposed to be like first to 25, win by 2. And the game was so close that we won 37-35. So like the game, it just kept going. Like it was a long set. And every set after that was like equally as close. I think the second set, it was like 26-24. Like they were close sets every single time. And even though we won in 4 sets rather than 5 sets, it was still such a competitive game. And it was just like amazing. And it was a great feeling when we finally won. So,
Was that 37-35 game? Was that like the longest like set you've ever played?
oh, I wish it was we like if the game had gone probably like I think it was like 20 or 30 minutes longer, we would have like broken the record because actually that week another team had just beaten the record for like the longest volleyball match
Mm-hmm.
ever. And we were like surprisingly close to it, but
Yeah.
we didn't beat it.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I would ever be able to play for that long. Yeah, that's just terrible. I would have given up at that point, honestly.
It was
Uh,
great, especially volleyball. Like you have a certain amount of subs. So eventually we ran out of subs
yeah.
because of how long the game was going. And so whoever's on the court just has to stay on the court and play a position that they don't play. So then Laura, Laura, but Laura, she is shorter than me and she's our setter. She had to stay in and play front row and hit. And she doesn't like she wouldn't have normally done that if it were like in any other game. And she actually like scored, and we all went crazy. It was great.
Yeah. What's like a typical, day when you have volleyball, either off season or in season? Like what's like a typical day, including like school and classes and stuff?
I guess I'll like map out my day tomorrow, but when we're out of season, we have 6 a.m. lift. And so just to get everything over with, we do 6 a.m. lift and then 7 a.m. practice. So 6 a.m. lift, 7 a.m. practice, and then I would go straight to my 9 a.m. like straight after practice. And then I have like 3 classes at like 9, 12, and then 1:30. And then I get the rest of the day off. So even though 6 a.m. lift is brutal in the moment, I'm glad to have like the rest of my day to myself. So that's good. But when we're in season, we usually would have like our classes whenever people have classes. And then we have lift at 3 p.m. And then straight after lift, we go to practice at like 4:30.
And what's your major again? I forget. I know you're like,
Bio.
yeah. So would you do most of your homework in the afternoon when you have time off, or how do you like manage that?
Bio takes up a lot of time just because we have so many labs and stuff, which labs are like 3 hours every time. But I try to get all my work done in the afternoon, just like whenever I can. I'll try to get work done before practice, after practice. I prefer to do work like before I go to bed personally. A lot of people will like carve out time like during the day, but I just find myself getting distracted. Like if the sun's out, I do not want to be like doing homework in my room. So I prefer to just do my homework at the end of the day or even just like beginning of the day if I have my morning to myself. But you know, with being a bio major, you obviously just have to set aside a lot of time because it just takes a lot of work.
Yeah. And then this is my last question. Obviously you said you want junior year to be, you guys' year, but like just your next 2 years, like what are you hoping for and like what are you expecting going forward?
Well, this upcoming season, I'm hoping that I just want us to compete. I want us to play well. I want us to go down swinging if we lose, but no matter what, to always take a loss as a learning opportunity and for us to hopefully win the Patriot League and then get to go play in the NCAA tournament and make some Bucknell volleyball history.
Yeah, that'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um, do you have any questions for me at all? Or
Not really. Just how's life in Rhode Island?
it's going good. I mean, no football definitely makes things interesting, but
Yeah,
I fill my time with things like this, and then I'm still working with the football team here, but I just don't play. That's all.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. I'm glad you're doing good.
yeah. Well, thank you for taking the time to come on. I know you're a busy person. But yeah, so thank you for taking the time to come on, and that's it for me. So
Amazing.
yeah, I hope you have a good one.
Thanks, you too.